Okay, folks. So I want to share some more information concerning this whole space-based solar, where these people want to hijack our sunlight and our power and our energy up there in the upper atmosphere. They're not even going to allow it to get down here to ground level, where anyone can access it. Right? They're going to hijack it right up there in the upper atmosphere under the guise of so that we can get down to that whole net zero thing and decarbonize the planet. Right? Even though we're carbon-based beings, I just when I capture things, drifting through the skies and stuff, and share it, it's because it's based on a little bit of research that I've done as well into some of the permissions that they've recently been granted just in the last 5 to 10 years. There's been laws regulating them developing anything up here in this upper space that they've had to abide by. And they've recently just revamped and changed some of those laws, allowing themselves more freedom and more liberty under the guise of having to combat, climate change and global warming. Right? It bothers me, myself personally. Okay, I'm all for the advancement of technologies and us, becoming a little bit more efficient with certain things and stuff. But as far as this goes, this makes me very uncomfortable. I don't like them drifting things over our heads. I've captured too many things that would absolutely suggest they are deploying these space-based solar power systems and stuff. I mean, they have planes that can stay up all the time that never land. Okay, and they've been developing these different types of platforms where they can harness the sunlight for a nearly carbon-free power. Yeah, change that promises vast quantities of clean, nearly carbon-free power is coming. Yeah, only if they allow you to have that energy, though, because once they hijack it up there in the upper atmosphere, they can redirect it wherever they want. So not only can they provide power to a certain area, they can deny power to a certain area as well. I don't like this. It makes me very uncomfortable. I don't consent. And this was just put out and updated in January of 2022. And I'm sure that there's other information that's available that they're just not releasing to the public. And this is like I said, because I'm repetitive, I have to say it again. It's not just a US thing. It's not just a Europe thing. It's not just a China thing. When you read some of these files talking about the Space Agenda 2021 and how, I'll just read through some of it, but it says background. The sixth mission of the U.S. Air Force's X-37B experimental space plane was launched in May of 2020, which was all in secret, right? And there's still a bunch of speculation and accusation going on from other countries that are claiming NASA and the U.S. Air Force like left something up there that's not registered, left an unregistered satellite up there, right? Among its payloads, it carried an experimental solar power module from the Naval Research Laboratory, intended to demonstrate power generation and conversion to radio frequency energy that could be transmitted across long distances, directing energy. Okay, energy is energy, whether it's radio waves, microwaves, whatever. It's all energy, and it's directing energy, and they shouldn't be allowed. This is the latest development in a long history. You don't say of efforts to realize the potential of large-scale collection of solar power in space and the delivery of that power to distant users. Again, what gives them the right to just take the liberty to just hijack our solar power in the upper atmosphere and then just decide to redirect it down wherever they want? And it talks about how the study of solar power satellites has been conducted at governmental agencies, universities, and other research organizations in the United States for more than half a century. But the concept has yet to reach fruition because the technology is challenging and efforts to develop it have been inconsistent and minimally funded. Bullshit. Despite the current NRL test and other pockets of activity, little is being done in the United States to initiate a series of flight experiments that would lead to demonstration of a complete system, including on-orbit and ground components, eventually scaling up to operational size. The Air Force Research Laboratory is focused on ensuring mission success by finding power solutions for forward operating bases. Oh, okay. To support this goal, AFRL is developing an SPS transmission capability using high-efficiency solar cells. You don't say. The Space Solar Power incremental demonstrations and research intends to capture solar energy in space and precisely beam it. Northrop Grumman is partnering with AFRL and was awarded a $100 million contract, which I'm sure they have a lot more with private investors. And again, it talks about the Department of Defense investments into it. and NASA's long history dating back to 1975, you know, in the mid to late 1970s, energy crisis era. Okay, y'all sense a little bit of history repeating itself, right? Collaboration with the Energy Research and Development Administration, later reorganized to the Department of Energy, included SPS as part of alternative energy studies. Folks, it's nothing new. The only thing that's new is that they've got this whole global warming narrative and this whole global warming climate emergency, granting them authorizations to this take the liberty of drifting things above our heads without our consent. I don't consent. We're not going to go carbon free because guess what? We're carbon based beings, folks. I'm just in it. And like I said, it's not just our country. They even mention here Japan's basic space law has been modified to include demonstration of SSP microwave wireless power transmission from low Earth orbit to Earth by 2025. In September 2021, the UK Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy received a very positive report of space based solar power, de risking the pathway to net zero. I mean, it's talking about it's technically feasible, it's environmentally sound, and supports net zero pathways. How do you know if you're still testing it? How can they say this stuff with such confidence if they're still testing it? They've already tested it. That's what I'm saying, folks. That's the point I'm trying to make. And I'm not looking to go into a whole lot of this file here, but I'm just it's incredible to me how they just announce these emergencies like this crisis with global warming and then they just go ahead and just grant themselves all the power in the world. Talking about in August 2021, the Beyond Earth Institute published Catching the Sun, a national strategy for space solar power. Yeah, Catching the Sun, a national strategy for space solar power.